No matter how high-tech, highfalutin, lazy, or foo-foo America gets, we will never stop hunting and fishing. This is the Hunting Quest. We take 1 hour of every week and talk about our favorite things in the world, hunting and fishing. You'll get tips and help on the fishing environment locally in the DMV area. Plus, we're going to have fun along the way. This is the Hunting Quest. And now your host, Mike Tippin.
All right.
Take two, Mike.
Take two, Mikey.
Bennett.
Oh, Mikey two takes. Here we go. We can't do this on the first day ever.
Well, it's
Ever.
at this point, it's just not right to try to do it on the first take.
He is a retard.
He is.
Special education, okay?
Oh, Lord. And he's got the shirt to prove it.
That's a great shirt.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I wasn't talking about
Mr. Fox shirt in the house.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, it's Friday.
Finally.
I got a job. I got something to do. But we have Mossy Oak royalty in the house. Mr. Kyle Ott.
Mike lies.
I don't. Nice to meet you. We'll do this again.
Yeah, this is.
No, what do you mean? This is the first time we've ever done this.
This is the second time.
We're
Travis.
going. There are no roads.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
awesome. We've talked a little bit, and you are a turkey killing machine. And you've done your U.S. Slam, right?
I have not done the U.S. Slam yet. I'm HI.
But you've got a U.S. or you've got
I have Grand Slams.
Grand Slams.
Yeah,
all right.
but I'm HI on my 49.
8 shot. Damn.
We'll see.
What you got left?
Louisiana,
Yeah.
Arkansas, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, West Virginia, Connecticut, and Jersey.
All right. So Arizona, you want to try to hit a Gould?
No. It's too
Chasing
tough
too
of a
many
tag.
points, huh?
No, it's a really tough tag to pull here in the U.S.
Yeah.
If you want to throw some really big coin at it, you can. They may offer like a governor's tag or something. I think the NWTF has allocated a tag or two that they can raffle off, but it ends up going for big money. You could probably shoot a Super Slam and pay for your gas for a Super Slam with some of the prices that some of these guys are paying for hunts. So I'll stick with Southwest High Desert Mountain Merriam's for my.
That's still a hell of a hunt, my friend. That is a hell of a hunt.
But glad to be here, and certainly glad to be talking turkeys and wherever else this goes. There's some characters at the table this evening, and
sitting over here.
I feel like the conversation could be tangential when you show up.
There's one. All right, how many
Just so
words
you know,
y'all gonna
I
say
don't
that
think
over?
I'd say probably 80% of our listeners don't know what tangential means.
We're going to go a lot of places, whether it's consensual or not.
There's another one.
Wait, what?
But we also and also we're super glad that we were in the presence of another set of bow hunting, bow fishing royalty.
And Northern Virginia and D.C. area duck hunting royalty.
Yeah, the one and the only, brother man.
How many times have you been state champion for the duck and the goose call, Travis?
Won a bunch of youth goose calling tournaments with Ducks Unlimited chapters and duck calling tournaments. That was when I was a kid. But 2018 Virginia State duck calling champion.
There you go.
Yeah.
How cool was that, man?
Was really cool. The 2019 winner was my protege Dylan Nefter.
No
And
kidding.
So that was even better.
Passing it on.
That's
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that's the legacy right there. Good deal.
How'd the Worlds go for you that year?
Oh man, let me tell you, dude.
Sorry, Travis. You know I love you. I had
Squeaked
to.
out on the first note on the second cut, and so yeah, it was a really good experience. It was an out of body experience. after I squeaked out.
Bennett, did you want to be guiding this episode?
You know,
There's this old adage, you don't shit where you eat.
Yeah, yeah.
after this last season, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I heard there's an opening at Wild Valley. Yep. We have that somewhere. But Travis, glad that you're becoming more of a regular on the cast, man.
Absolutely.
We're really glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So what's everybody drinking? Benny, what you got over there?
What are we drinking? The Widow Jane 10-year.
All right.
I think Kyle's drinking the same.
You drinking? Yeah, you
I've
drinking.
been
Widow
working
Jane.
on it.
Yeah, good.
It's
deal,
good.
Good deal. And
I'm doing it for James Hancock with the banquet beer.
Yeah.
Little Coors Light over there.
yeah, in the bottles only though.
Yep.
In the bottles only.
Keep it classy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got some Blantons going on. So
Very classy.
yeah. Then we got Angel's Envy and
I don't think it gets any classier than Mikey Tippin's drink right there because he's got marble ice cube rocks in there.
He
Keeping his
does.
drink cold.
I do. And you
Yeah.
want to know the epitome of this? I have my name on my
I
glass.
saw that.
Wow.
Yeah, very fancy. But yeah, for anybody that's listening right now, if Mikey extends the invite to you, he's got a lot of really good bourbon on the table when you walk in.
We try.
The missus shows up with pizzas.
Yep. We do all right.
Travis shows up.
Here we go.
It's,
And then we got foo drinks in the fridge too. So
very bougie.
yeah, it's kind of.
But this is Northern Virginia, so
break my heart. Nah. So,
you want me to give me an introduction?
yeah.
Okay.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, please. sir.
Hey guys, my name's Kyle Ott. I grew up in Northern Virginia. I don't know, I've done a lot of turkey hunting, a lot of deer hunting, a lot of goose hunting, shot some elk. I guess I started traveling to hunt when I was 16 was my first trip to Utah to elk hunt. I think
That's
I
a
shot my
hell of a resume that you got.
shot my first turkey in 96 or 97 at like 11 or 12, and then shot my first out-of-state turkey in Maryland in 03, and then really started traveling pretty extensively to hunt public and private land around. And I wasn't really going to states with any particular purpose other than just to travel, to experience new places and experience new people.
For sure.
And what I found myself doing was just kind of outside of Virginia. I love Virginia hunting. It's my favorite place to hunt. You know, everybody has that opinion about home, but I found myself going back to the places that I really liked a lot. And so I wasn't like on this quote unquote, formally declared U.S. Super Slam thing until 17, even though I'd shot turkeys in more than a handful. But
well on your way, right?
I think I went into it with like 6 states or something like that. But like I said, I was just going back to places that I liked to spend time with people that I like.
There
And
you go.
honestly, when it's all said and done for me, which hopefully is either this year or worst case next year, I really just look forward to it, going back to that, guiding, handicap hunts, the St. Jude's hunt and stuff down in Tennessee. It was kind of how Wounded Warrior stuff kind of used to start the season with just different purpose. And so anyhow, I've been really fortunate to turkey hunt a lot, and really focused outside of sports as a kid, hunting. I learned a lot by being in the woods a lot. I was one of those kids that Saturday afternoon, if I had my license, I wanted to go walk around the woods. And, back then we were printing off My Topo USA maps. And,
You're going to age yourself.
Printing off my aerial maps and stuff from My Topo and trying to learn the ropes that way. But I just spent a lot of time in the woods, whether it was for deer, a lot of time in the woods for turkeys, screwing up so much, man. Like, if you were hunting next to me when I was like 12, 13, 14 years old, because my dad didn't turkey hunt. So we literally learned to turkey hunt on our own. My dad facilitated opportunities for us, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But he had no idea what in the hell was going on.
Right.
And so as opportunities kind of became more available, he would drive me down to one of the public lands about 2.5 hours from here, and we had no freaking idea. And then, as we got some private land, and we still had no idea. And so I apologize to anyone that was hunting next to your piece of property that I was hunting in Northern Virginia 20 years ago, because I have those people that I probably cuss out to this day that hunt next to me. And I was getting my reps in, and
That's it.
We were scaring the hell out of a lot of things and doing really dumb stuff. So it kind of success was really hard to come by when you're learning it like that. So anyhow, long and the short of it is, grew up in Northern Virginia, hunted Northern Virginia extensively, have hunted all over the state of Virginia extensively.
Hunted my backyard.
Yeah, literally. Crazy to be here. And,
Absolutely,
yeah.
that's cool.
And then I've been fortunate to hunt pretty extensively around the U.S. For turkeys, a little bit for geese, and for elk as well. I just really like to hunt, so my life has just kind of really been oriented towards it. And I think that, you know, when I hear people say like I love to hunt, or you know, every decision is influenced by hunting.
Yep.
Like I was just kind of one of those kids that college, jobs, what job opportunities I take now.
Yep.
Hunting has always been a primary.
What girl you date? What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like 21st. I remember my 21st birthday. My buddies were like, "We're gonna get out and get loaded up tonight," and I was like, "You can get as many drinks in me as my body can process." I went to school down in Fredericksburg, and I had some really good turkey hunting ground that was public and private on the southern eastern shore.
Oh, Lord.
Down around Salisbury, Maryland.
Ooh.
And so we went out at like
There's
6
some good long
o'clock.
beers down there.
And yeah, the hunting was really good back then. Nobody was doing it.
Right. That's a whole nother story.
Like
We'll get to.
2004, I had something around there. And I was like, man, I'm out of here. And that was 4 hours from Fredericksburg. But I was like, I'm out of here at 1. I'm hunting, and I had class at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was going to hunt for essentially 3.5 hours, and I loved hunting down there.
Yep.
At that time, and so yeah, it's just kind of always been, you know, that deal, like the weddings during hunting. Sorry, please.
Nope, sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that's I got a tag for this, and I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
Appreciate the offer,
Yeah.
though.
So there's just a little bit of a brief introduction about me.
So Kyle, I've known since 2015, 2016.
I was going to get to that. Yeah.
And if you know the saying, you get out as much as you put into it.
For sure.
He is the measuring stick of that.
That's awesome.
There is not many people, not many hunters that I know of or met that can rival this man right here.
Sure.
With the pre-hunt, during the hunt, I want to say intelligence with the hunt.
Sure.
I mean, it's just one of those things, whether it's goose hunting, I've shared stories with him and seen him do things that other people would curl an eye at or turn an eye at and be lazy with it, right?
Sure.
And with
Can't be
turkey
lazy
hunting, you know, I mean, you know, doing the 49.
Who
you know,
digs out layout blinds in Saskatchewan?
who takes a freaking hay bale into the field and throws it all up on this feed to know that they're going to be used to what they see and then go back and have it brushed in with layout blinds and absolutely mash. With the
That's
turkey
sick.
hunting.
That is sick, bro.
I'm telling you,
That is
putting in
freaking
the
sick.
work. I mean, crawling in a ghillie suit down through the ditch to be able to get eyes on a feed or whatnot. And then the turkey hunting stuff with this 49 turkeys in 49 states or whatever, a turkey estate, the U.S. Slam. I've heard so many people that do it private and they pay a guy to put a bird on their lap. And this man right here does it publicly on public hunting.
Most of the time.
For the most part.
Most
for
of
the
the
most
time,
part,
but-
you know, sleeping in his truck.
Oh, yeah.
And then getting in and then hitting up another state that evening,
Yep.
sleeping overnight, getting on a bird. I mean, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know,
Dude,
I
I mean,
learn a lot.
you put that kind of work into your stuff, though, Travis.
You
I
do.
mean, like, here's the bottom line. And I was in a truck with my buddy. My son and I were down in Alabama hunting for the youth weekend last weekend. And it's
And
like
he tagged, right?
he did shoot.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. He killed a good longbeard Sunday afternoon. Great hunt.
Roll Tide.
For sure. But it's like, I don't know. I just kind of always, you know, the weird thing about hunting to me is that in contrast to work and in just, you know, normal responsibilities, you have people, or I do have people say things like, hey, you got to do this, or hey, I need you to work on this project at work. And there's always that part in the back of my mind. It's like, God damn it.
It's going to
This is going to suck.
Yep.
But you're the same way with ducks. I mean, God, we're just talking about, like, you guys are walking 800 yards across like knee-deep muck to get to some blind down there in the marsh. And
That's
Mike,
a true
you
shout out to Zane there.
So, like,
Who
I mean,
is
you guys do
fishing without
monstrous
us, by the
stuff,
way.
but my point being is that, like, I'm fortunate to know some guys that are like this, just like you guys are talking about just a few minutes ago before the podcast started. There has never been anything that was just too formidable. Like, I've never heard a turkey gobble that if he was on that piece of public, that he was too far away.
Right.
I've never seen a turkey that I could spot in my binoculars that he was too far away. I've never like, and so you know, with that, like, I don't know why that's the way that it's always been for me, but like I didn't come from having a lot of opportunities, abundant opportunities in hunting. And so what it really became was, number one, like trying to figure out how to be good enough to have opportunities. Like that was a big part of it, you know, like you learn to hunt the wind for whitetails and entrance and exit routes for big deer and turkeys, like how to communicate effectively, you know, waterfowl. You're an artist, like you're communicating, you understand these animals like so thoroughly that you really figure out how to effectively exploit them. But to me, once you started to figure that kind of stuff out, get enough experience, observe them enough, spend enough time in the timber with them, like it just became like, man, this could be the hunt of a lifetime. Every hunt could be the hunt of a freaking lifetime.
Oh yeah.
Like,
or it could be the biggest suffering event you've ever been a part of.
And sometimes you know that there's going to be an exorbitant amount of suffering in order to possibly have that result. Yep. And it's just never mattered. Like I'll hear people be like, yeah, I got a turkey that gobbled last night. I got him roosted, and it's like, what time are you getting up? And they're like, I get up at 5:30. I'm like, bro, I've been sitting under him for an hour and 20 minutes at that point. Like, my alarm's going off at 2:30 so that I can be in there within 50 yards of him, you know.
Before he ever sees my ass.
Like, or when it comes, you know, whitetails, like, walk a mile out of the way to go to a spot that you could have just walked 300 yards from the truck to access, or the ducks and geese, like, hey, we know they're going to be in this field at some point in this late season. Like, let's take the bales out there, break the bales, fluff the bales, let them get used to looking at them as they're flying over. And then when they get in there, once they're finally in there on that X, like, instead of going and hunting that field 12 times and putting a rig out and hoping to shoot some traffic geese, wait till you got 800 in there, and then you roll hard and you crush. Like, you smash.
Then you got stacks.
And absolutely. You know, like, you know that you're going to go in there on a 5-gun limit. You're going to take your 6 guys in there, and it's not a question of is it happening. It's a question of, like, how fast are we going to get the 30, and can we get out of there in time to leave that so that they get back in quickly, you know? Oh, yeah. So, like, and you know, you're the same way, but, like, I just have that's the one thing that's always stood out to me, is just, like, the process has never been discouraging. No. The process has, no matter how hard the effort, whether you're in there with a chainsaw cutting a way back into a bedding area on the backside in the summer and it's 100 degrees.
Ticks everywhere.
Yeah,
just
like,
Jesus.
whatever it is, I don't know why, but, like, that has just never discouraged me in any way, shape, or form. And in contrast to so many other examples in my life, like the honeydew list. Like, oh, honey, I need a shell pitch. Shit.
Yep. So
God, mow the lawn. No.
No. No. But here's what I'll say. You know, it's fair to say all 4 of us at this table, and a lot of people that we consider close friends, we are not cut from the same cloth that most people are.
Yeah.
That's
my cool.
Opinion. I love it.
That's cool.
I love it. But, you know, like I was talking to a guy at work yesterday. We were kind of shooting the crap, and he's like, I went in and I had Mossy Oak hat on and all that stuff. It's a professional environment, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mossy Oak hat. And then he goes, you're a hunter? I was like, yeah. He goes, what do you hunt? Pretty much anything, you know. And I said, but turkey season's right around the corner, so that's my next venture. And he goes, oh, well, it's not hard to kill a turkey.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, have you ever hunted a turkey? No, how hard can it be, man? I mean, just, you know, they're in my backyard.
Stick that little fan in front of your face and crawl out in that field. I saw it on the outdoor channel last night. There were 5 gobblers in the field, and we stuck the fan in front of her face, and they came running.
What are the odds? You know?
That guy that was on the TV called them Thunder Chickens.
Yeah. But, you know, and it's. But I run into that a lot.
Sorry,
you know,
I got a couple drinks in.
No, don't be sorry about it at all. But it goes back to, you know, it's the cloth that we're cut from, right? And what gets, like I know Travis doesn't, what do you call them, timber goats?
Oh, them timber goats.
Yeah, he's not a timber goat guy.
He's not, but his old man.
But his old man is.
John over there.
Old sport.
Old sport gets after it.
Yeah. Well, we're muley hunting together. Him and I are this year.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm stoked about that.
That's awesome.
Like Travis is not a timber goat guy, right?
Oh.
But Jesus, man.
That's cool.
Ask him how to shoot a freaking duck.
Yeah,
And he's on it. Well, this duck's going to come in, and you're going to see him fly in, and he's going to he'll do like these pintails are going to pass by like 6 times. You get him on the 7th time, and like.
The Greg Army's going to shoot 40 times at him.
And miss every time.
And he's going to keep on flying south.
But no, I think that's the cool thing that kind of draws us together. And like you had asked me why I started this, and that's exactly why. There's a ton of people here, like in Northern Virginia. They want to hunt.
Yep.
They have no idea how to do it. And,
Absolutely.
And this is the opportunity. That's what this was built for. Same thing with Travis. He's got the bow fishing, he's got duck hunting, and then you got Benny, right? And I don't. There's a lot of things that I can say bad about Benny. No, I'm joking.
Here we go.
Benny's great at hitting the record button.
Right.
Damn. Benny's also a contractor for outdoor cameraman guys as well. There's a reason for it.
Yes.
Ask him how good he hits that record button.
Yes. Short of the fact that he's got one of the coolest shirts on the planet on right now with the Mr. Fox shirt.
Benny does have a Mr. Fox shirt on, so.
Mikey's just still jealous that he doesn't have his vest yet.
So,
if he misses a record button like he misses, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind, but he's got a Mr. Fox. He's got a Mr.
You
Fox.
say that. It's funny. Last year, I went out, and first ever year I turkey hunted in Maryland. I had a bird come in at like 45 yards and just way off of where I thought he was going to come. Had to roll around the tree and popped him.
Did you kill him?
Oh, yeah. Hammered him.
Nicely done.
And I looked down. I got the GoPro mounted underneath my barrel. It ain't recording. I was like, God damn it.
Benny's very disappointing when he comes with buttons.
He's
Do you have a girlfriend, Benny?
She was supposed to be here.
We got to keep this PG.
Yeah, we do. No,
he can flick a button. I don't know about push a button.
Not good at pushing it.
The mythical button.
Here we go.
Here we go.
No, but kind of going back to that is, there's a very few things on this planet that I can look at it and say this is the greatest thing that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And hunting's it. I mean, whether it's because you can provide for yourself, you can provide for a family, whatever it is, or you can go out and just get peace of mind. That's my mental health break.
For sure.
Get out in the woods and just say, I don't know, my phone wasn't working, and I missed that call. I didn't read that email. I'm not on social media. Whatever it is, greatest thing on the planet. But,
I agree.
But kind of aside from that, I mean, look, man. I mean, you're a turkey aficionado. I actually got emails when I was telling people you were coming on. So I got a couple questions. I've kept them. I've kept them from you today because I wanted to kind of surprise you with you. But
All right.
The number one question we got for you was, how did you get to Prostaff? What is the path to get to Prostaff?
Oh man.
And I know you get that a lot, but
Yeah, so when it comes to Mossy Oak Prostaff, so that it's a very eclectic group of people that represent Mossy Oak.
sure.
But it's hard not to sound like a fanboy when I kind of go into the Mossy Oak thing. But for me, it was pretty much always Mossy Oak. Like if you look at a picture of me when I'm 15 years old, when I'm 16, 17, 18, 20, I'm 37 right now, right? But it was
you're a youngin'.
It was always Mossy Oak. And what I always appreciated about Mossy Oak was their reverence. I was just joking about the fan thing and the Thunder Chicken, and it's like you don't hear those guys talk like that. And they, Mr. Fox is, I think, 93 years old, and like
legacy,
awesome legend. And you don't, you see the way that they hunt, the respect for traditional values and hunting culture, and then also just how much Mossy Oak gives back to the hunting community in terms of being a gamekeeper, talking to people about how to do burns, set properties up for burns, for habitat enhancement. I am not aware of another company that is doing as much community outreach to enhance habitat for sportsmen as Mossy Oak is. Quite honestly, there's a lot. The competitors are good competitors. They make good camouflage and whatnot. But when it comes down to the ethos of the company and where they put their money and a lot of their resources, you can go onto a YouTube channel with gamekeepers, and you can learn how to burn. You can learn how to put a fire break in. They can talk about biodiversity and plant diversity. Lots of information related to food plots, soil maintenance, and whatnot.
Mr. Dixon, was a large part of that.
Absolutely. And so anyhow, Mossy Oak was just kind of a part of like a brand that I identified with as a kid and as a hunter growing up. And so I wore it. And then I've guided extensively. And so being in camps, big camps and whatnot, people would always come in and be like, I was always in Mossy Oak head to toe. Bottomland. I mean, if you're not wearing Bottomland in the spring, like,
wow.
Okay.
You're not a real hunter.
Okay.
I'll leave now
for that one.
But Bottomland and Obsession and whatnot. So anyhow, I'd always be head to toe in, and I regularly had people be like, "Are you on staff with Mossy Oak?"
Oh.
I was like, "No, I'm not. I just wear Mossy Oak because I hunt extensively." And when it came to me traveling, Bottomland was really versatile, whether it was in hardwoods, because Bottomland, when you're in the shade, it has those darker tones to it. But when you look at hardwoods, poplars and oaks, when they get sun on them, they turn white. And so Bottomland really had that versatility, and that Obsession was fantastic once the foliage started to mature in the spring. And so I just always wore, and I have lots of other Mossy Oak patterns as well. But anyhow, I was just always head to toe in it. And, I was introduced to one of the regional Prostaff guys for Mossy Oak, and we got to talking and just about hunting experiences and places that I've been and places that he's been, and we knew a few of the same people, and I have been fortunate to hunt a lot of places and kind of have been fortunate to experience some success in those places as well, and he asked me, he was like, "Are you on staff?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And he was like, "Well, I'm gonna make some phone calls." And so that was that was really how that worked out. And it's just kind of so. And in terms of the pro staff, it's like the job of the pro staff is to represent Mossy Oak camouflage and conservation in a positive capacity.
Sure.
And the brands that Mossy Oak affiliates with are their licensees. And so what you see with the pro staff, and that's actually how Travis and I met.
Yeah, I heard.
I was working the calling contest down in Richmond that he was calling in.
Was that what, Green Top?
Yeah, that was down in Bass Pro Shop.
It was a Bass Pro Shop, so like Atlee. Ashland. So the job of
tomorrow.
The job of the pro staff. So I think a lot of times people hear pro staff and they think of guys that are just absolute killers. Like that's kind of.
I think that's a bad rep, but I agree.
Like and really it's not about that for Mossy Oak. It's about what is your give back? What can you do to give back not only to conservation and to hunting, but just represent the brand.
And it's I don't want to cut you. No, I think that is you hit a bell there with me. Is there are companies out there that will put you on pro staff because you killed a 480-inch elk on a high fence hunt and you paid for whatever, and it is about the just killing whatever, if it's brown it's down and we can take a picture with it.
Yep.
And I'm not on pro staff. I'm not a Mossy Oak pro staff person. It's not my world.
It doesn't make me better than you,
but
at the end of at all.
But here's what I'll say, and the reason why I make that point is that I'm not on Mossy Oak pro staff is that I have no affiliation with them, but I have seen the good that Mossy Oak pro staff does.
Yeah.
And if you walk into NWTF and you look at the people down there and the sponsorship and everything that they did for the 50th for NWTF,
absolutely,
it's a game changer, and it's every year that way. I mean, you talk about professionalism, you talk about what somebody brings to the table. It's not whether or not you buy or sell my camouflage or you license it or whatever it is. to them, it's a way of life.
Absolutely.
So, again, I'm not paid to say that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I know they do.
Highest quality for sure.
I knew they do too a lot. But that's the goal, right? Like that's the goal is to just ultimately kind of be better stewards, more responsible about kind of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and do it in a way that certainly leaves things better than we left them.
Absolutely.
But the commonality on the pro staff that I will say is, there's some guys that travel all over the place, and they are absolutely Black Death.
Yeah.
They are the plague to whatever they're hunting.
For sure.
For sure. Highly effective guys. There are also an abundance of people who hunt locally.
Yeah.
They enjoy hunting a lot. They're just fantastic ambassadors and representatives of the hunting community.
Yeah.
They are about that community give back and that community outreach. And so, they just kind of at their discretion make that decision in terms of, is a person a suitable fit or aren't they? But I would say no two people are really identical when it comes to the staff.
Well, that's the uniqueness with it,
Yeah, so. Yeah, and so you have people that that have a lot of media exposure. The cool thing about the pro staff is, I would say, in terms of outreach, is you have a lot of social media exposure with certain figures who are heavily involved with Mossy Oak.
For sure.
Like my brother's brand, Chasing 49.
Great brand.
Strategic corporate partner. They were a lot of alliances there. They work very hard, very well together. And so you have guys like
so tell people, most people in this industry know who, that what Hunt 49 is, but
okay.
Kind of give the plug in there.
Yeah, so just to plug my brother, and his I mean, look, my brother is absolutely 100% one of the best turkey hunters in the United States. Did it the fastest, I believe the fastest that it was done. He was the youngest to do it for a little while, and that's changing year to year. But he and the guys over there have gone out of their way to tell the story of the Super Slam in a very tasteful way, in a way that is not that does not focus on the kill. Obviously, to punch a state, you got to kill one, right? But you're not going to see a lot of graphic stuff. It's the hunt in terms of the amount of time that the turkey spends on film is very, very limited in contrast to the way that they narrate and showcase the process and
they
the
do
experiences.
A phenomenal job.
Vistas. My brother Keith Ott owns Chasing 49. I really try to stay away from the big media stuff, just because I have some of my own personal opinions in terms of the impact that
we talked about
that large media is having on wild turkeys and especially public turkey hunting. But I will say that they tell a very good tale about. They use the hunters. They use a lot of discretion in terms of who they choose to document along the way on their slams. They use a lot of discretion with the individuals that they film as a vehicle for showcasing the process of the slam.
I love it.
And the experience.
And people, that's the thing is, Travis we were talking about just a minute ago, well, a little while ago, is like, you're sleeping in the back of your truck.
Yeah.
I got a new camper, on the back of my truck now. It's a blow up camper from Flated.
Yep.
Coolest thing on the planet. And they've got a bed that you can put in there. But all of that stuff is this, I call it the suck. That's what you're going through at the time to get that turkey. And you're eating freaking, I'm a Star Crunch guy, right?
PBJs.
Yeah, PBJs, and Star Crunch, and Wish sandwiches. I got two pieces of bread.
You got to be careful with beef jerky. I'll tell you, boys, my legs swelled up like I was dead from sodium. On a trip. Yeah, my calves were the size of my freaking quads last year. They thought I had blood clots.
Oh, Jesus.
I called my doctor, and my doctor was like, hey, bro, you got to get off the highway, and you got to go to the hospital, the closest one to you. Not the hospital at home that's like 16 hours away. No. Whatever hospital, wherever in the hell you're at, go there now. So I'm supposed to be at work the next day, and I'm calling my boss, and I'm like, hey, my legs are like, I couldn't put my boots on. I've been hunting for 4 days. We were on, it was a great hunt.
Worth it.
It was a great hunt.
Totally worth it.
I got swollen legs.
Progressively, as my boots fit, I didn't just pay attention to how tight the damn things had gotten until I finally was turning the truck north to head home. And I was like, shit, look at this.
Wow. Sure that's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah, like I felt like I was joining the Crumps, like the white version.
Oh, dear God.
It was crazy, man.
Yeah.
So anyhow, just kind of to get back to that, they have partners that really capture a large percentage of the hunting and the turkey community that give them a lot of great exposure. But then they also have a lot of guys that are just right there gritty at the ground level doing, working the events like the local duck calling events and the Cabela's events, helping them do demos. And so they really, in terms of the pro staff, just to kind of conclude that conversation about roles and responsibilities and how they just have these guys that are willing to do different things, whether it's at the local level, the state level, or on the national media platform that showcase hunting in a tasteful way and that represent them. And so, like I said, in terms of the staff, it really doesn't matter whether you're a guy whose Instagram is going to get 500,000 views this month, or a guy that only has like 500 followers. That the cool thing about the staff is they have all of those guys on the staff, and the commonality is just the willingness to support conservation and support hunting in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. So. Dude, it's phenomenal, and well put. I think
it.
I think that that's that area in itself. We get asked that a lot. I get asked that a lot. Like, well, you hunt a lot, yeah. How do I do a podcast? Well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Well, how do I get to Prostaff? Well, that's a different story too. If you're
that shouldn't be your goal.
Exactly.
Let me. Can I just say this? Like,
not your goal.
That's the blueprint. How Kyle did it is, and this goes out to a lot of the young listeners that want to be a part of a pro staff. The way you become a part of a pro staff is not by trying to become a part of a pro staff.
Right.
You go out there, you live it, you do it, you network,
do it
I
because
feel
you
like
love
you were
it.
out there to hunt, and then it just came along with
it.
it. There you go.
Well, and I tell people this a lot. Take Benny, right? And I'll go back to this. I've already said it once, but I'll say it again. Benny and I were at Great American Outdoor, right? And we're going down there, and we're trying to figure out how to do interviews, and we're trying to figure out how to do all this stuff, and in person and all this stuff, and we're headed home, and and I asked Benny, I said, where are you going to go with this? And he goes, what are you doing? All this stuff, and him and I kind of knew each other, but not really well, and profoundly, this was the moment that I said, me and Bennett are this. I will do anything in my power to ensure that young man is successful. We were driving home and largely impacted by Travis. 100% by Travis. But we're talking about it and said, he goes, look, Mike. He goes, I'm doing the job that I absolutely love as a guide, right?
Yep.
And for those of you who don't know about being a guide, I've talked about this before, but Jesus, that job sucks. You have to love it beyond anything you could possibly imagine. And, he goes, I'm doing a job that I love, and I'll never be at that level because I can't buy my way in.
Yeah.
And it was a profound statement. He goes, but I can work harder than anybody else. And I looked at that and I'm like, that kid's got it.
Mm-hmm.
He's got it. And I'm glad I'm associated with. I'm glad he's part of our podcast. But that's how we talked about it. The cut from the same cloth. That's it. And he's got the mentor sitting right next to him.
Yeah.
But it's people.
You're gonna
like
cry
that.
again?
That really resonates with me.
Needs more catchphrases.
That resonates with me so much because I was never gonna buy my way in.
Hell no.
Right. So quite honestly, the way that I don't know that I've ever said this before, but the way that I looked at it was like I loved it, but I knew there were a lot of other people that loved it.
Yeah.
There are a ton of people that love it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to turkeys, when it comes to deer, I wanted to learn it so that I could have success. Like I was watching Drury's and watching HS Strut, And there were big bucks around here, buddy, but like nobody was killing them that consistently for the most. There were some guys that definitely were, but by and large, like, you know, there was a lot of mediocrity in terms of and I don't say mediocrity to be condescending to other people about what they wanted to kill, but it was like I knew that there were better deer here, and I wanted to figure out how to be able to kill those deer. And
right.
I didn't want to be shooting 90-inch deer.
Right.
I did it for a long time, but like to me, I just and all
There's
of you
gotta be
guys,
more
like,
to it.
there's a measuring stick, and you try to ascend to become better. But what I can say is that as becoming better, you become an asset to someone who doesn't have those skills.
There you go.
And so, like, guiding for me really became a way to showcase talents and facilitate access to higher quality properties and higher quality experiences. And I wanted to become better. Like when it was goose hunting, it was like, well, a lot of people didn't have a spread. So it was like, let's save up and build a good spread while we're becoming more experienced, so that if somebody's thinking to themselves, hey, I've got birds, but I don't have enough decoys, who am I going to call? My brother and I wanted to be that call.
There you go.
Oh, you guys have got 12 dozen full bodies and six layouts.
Yeah.
Or, hey, you've got panels made up. And like, I wanted to be the call where someone was like, shit, I don't know how we're going to do that, but I'm going to call those guys.
Yep.
And
past history is not, indicative of future results, right?
And so like,
I agree.
It really became like, I won't get into a lot of specifics here, but what I can tell you is that hunting has taken me places, and I have met people and had opportunities facilitated for me that if I hadn't pursued this in the way that I have, to the extent and the degree that I have, with the tenacity, and this goes for my brother as well, that would have never happened. Like, Travis is an exceptional waterfowl caller. He gets calls to go and do things that other people just aren't, because he can do exceptional things with a waterfowl call. My good buddy Chris, he used to blow for zinc calls. He's world class on a goose call,
Sure.
and not just on the call, but on the art. Same deal of watching wing beats and actually manipulating, like somebody who's good with a turkey call. And so it's like when you work really, really hard, that craft, if you do it in the right way, I think there are a lot of people that you become an asset to, because they want success.
Yep.
And if you have that resume and that experience where you can problem solve, you may not have been able to, you've never experienced that same scenario before, but you have enough experiential experience in your reservoir there, or in your database Rolodex, that you can access.
Yep.
And make something happen for someone.
For sure.
Then that is, whether it's guiding commercially, whether it's guiding for landowners that want to go hunting, that you can be the go-to call. There were just so many different ways and doors that I saw open through that.
For sure.
And the goal was never Prostaff. It was just to achieve more in the outdoors, be more successful, try to figure out how to be successful more consistently, and just continue to become more skillful. And that's the other thing I think is so awesome about hunting, is like, Travis might not like timber goats, right?
Right. Yeah, it's not his world.
But I'll guarantee you, but I'll guarantee you, the cool thing is like, if you have an analytical mind,
yep,
you start to understand that critters have defense mechanisms and fundamental needs, and they exploit habitat to use it to survive. And when you have an analytical mind, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what the quarry is: elk, moose, turkeys, white-tailed deer, cows, deer. I don't care. There is something that is always going to be intriguing. If Travis wanted to become a deer hunter, he would become very good at it. He would be good at it because he is analytical, and he would figure out how to be challenged and how to exploit those animals in a way that would allow him to be successful.
And Benny's well on his way too. And I think
I'm trying.
And did your youngin? you're a youngin. I think I'm the oldest one at this table, and you're a youngin. So,
well, and that's what I love about it.
If we're aging by gray and beard, if we're aging by beard here, boys, Mikey's got it.
I'm telling you, I got everybody by beard and by age. I promise. But no, Benny. I mean,
go back to what we were talking about earlier. I didn't come into this whole. I mean, I got to Maryland and I just grew up duck hunting and didn't get to that year that I was in basic training was the first year that I didn't duck hunt. Since I was 10 years old, and I was dying for it.
But that's it. And that's a guide.
And that's
you can't live without it.
Yep.
Right. And, and I didn't go into it wanting to be a guide or any of that. Nope. I was telling Travis, dude, if you want somebody to come out and break ice and throw decoys,
how can I get in the
I'll
woods?
go. I don't care. Like whatever it is. And now here 4 years later,
And the thing about guiding is that you're dealing with some of the most challenging hunters that exist when you're a guide.
Tell us about that, Benny.
So Benny's over there. He's like, oh yeah, but it's like, and I don't say that with any degree of disrespect. Look, if you want to be really good at something, you do it a lot.
Yeah,
you eat, sleep, and drink it. Doesn't matter. You want to be a millionaire, like you want to be a billionaire. That's what you do, bud. Like you work.
It.
You work.
Yeah,
and
I use that from Michael Jordan. You look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's a phenomenal basketball player. Everything else in his life was for a shit.
Yep.
But Michael Jordan, basketball was amazing, and that's all he focused on.
You do it, and you do it a lot, and that's the only way to be masterful at something. And my point to guiding, when it comes to kids or anybody that's trying to be really good at it, is like you hit a certain level where you start to have that success, but then you get into guiding, and it's like the equation has become exponentially more complicated because you're dealing with someone who hunts considerably less frequently than you.
Yep.
You do it all the time. Shooting that 20-yard crosser or that bird that's coming straight on that we were just talking about earlier, you shoot that shot all the time. Don't even think twice.
Right.
Look at it, put the gun up, pull the trigger, and the bird falls. But you're dealing with somebody that may hunt 3 times a year. They love it. They absolutely love it. They want to be there. That's why they're there with you. But it's your responsibility to facilitate opportunity for them. And they can croak on the opportunity, but there just are so many variations and limitations that people that are coming, that a lot of folks that are coming to an outfit have, and it's your job to figure that out, and you will become exponentially better as a result of working with those folks. And that's a privilege. It absolutely, I don't say this with condescension.
No, I get it 100%.
There are certainly a lot of challenging clients and whatnot that make you want to wrap your head around a beam, but
a lot of huffing and puffing that you hear from the guides this past year with Ramrod waterfowl. But then there's the few times where a gentleman shoots his trophy canvas back, and just the look on Benny's face, or on Wiener's face, or on Little Doyle's face, or a trophy pintail, and they immediately say that made the whole season there, and I'll gladly turn around and eat it again for another 60 days.
In a million times, absolutely, over and over again.
Yeah, I like guiding is just so enhancing if you use it in the right ways. I think there's a lot of reciprocity to it.
Yeah.
But so that was the Prostaff question that went on for 30 minutes.
That's all right.
But don't do anything with the goal of being Prostaff. I would say just dedicate yourself to it and truly be good at it. I'm going to say this, and this is going to burn some people up. There's a lot of disingenuous stuff on social media in terms of people that are achieving things that the guides are achieving for them. They never tell you that they're with a guide. But yet they're running around with guides on a regular basis. There's a lot of people that are taking pictures with other people's stuff. There's a lot of people that are reposting the same animal 4 and 5 times. Let me tell you what, like I'm a spade, shoot straight from the hip kind of guy.
Dude,
if you're the kind of person that needs to post an animal that you killed, 3 or 4 different times from different angles, changing your hats, or you shouldn't be worried about Prostaff. You should be worried about spending more time
You're getting a visit from the Roddy.
Sorry, that's a great puppy. He's good to go with me. But yeah, your goal shouldn't be pro staff. Just really become capable and competent. And I do think that there's been a general loss of humility as well with social media, and we all need to have confidence. But there's just some stuff out there that it's just so damn cringeworthy.
So
well, that's what, and it's not the kill. Like, dude, if you have a bad morning of hunting, it's still better than doing whatever else you were going to do, laying in bed.
Of the other shit
Post a picture of the sunrise you saw this morning. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, that's the appreciation, right? Again, I'll go back to we're not cut from the same cloth, right? And why I say that is I can sit in a tree stand, and I get this question a lot. Well, how can you just sit in a tree stand and just sit? Like, how can't you?
Yeah.
I'm not there to kill anything.
Yep.
I'm there to enjoy the sunrise. I'm there to enjoy my surroundings, the outdoors.
Drink a cup of coffee, listen to the birds
God
wake
almighty,
up, and the woods come alive.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm there to, have my heart start thumping when that, half a pound squirrel that sounds like a freaking 180 deer coming through the woods. I'm there, and likewise with turkeys and whatever you are after.
Yep.
That's my world, and it has nothing aside from, people think, like you kind of mentioned, aside from going out there and shooting something, I could give two craps. I'm in the blind, with Travis. Dude, look, if you can go in the blind with Travis and not find that you are, the dude should have been in the WWE. I've said that a million times.
Wait, what?
If you're in that blind and you can't find that instance where it's just like, man, I'm good with I'm with good people, right?
Yep. I always felt like Travis is all like he could definitely go WWE, not so much like midget wrestling. But he's not quite
brother
like
man's gonna break out the brother ball.
He's not like at the midget wrestling. I don't know somewhere in between.
No,
but I
feel like
Travis
what do you call him?
You're paying for.
All right, when I was in the little bit of a wrestling class for a little bit there,
you were the manager.
They said you they had me help with everybody's promos and stuff because
right,
they were like, you're
hell
awesome
yeah
at this, right, and then they were like, but moving forward, manager or referee,
all right, both play a good role.
But
could you see him as a man, dude? I mean,
I could see. I just feel like if you go hunt with Travis, which everyone that's listening to this in Northern Virginia, if you like to duck hunt or goose hunt or shoot fish, which a lot of people do now, it's very, very cool, and Travis is phenomenally skilled at it. Like I've had Travis ask me questions like, "Do you think I should say this in a seminar?" And I've been like, not sure.
Not
like
so much.
I don't, because it's like he knows he's so nuanced in his knowledge of tides and all this. I mean, I just appreciate people that are that detail oriented and are really like that dedicated to the student aspect of your craft, right? So anyhow, anybody out there that's listening to this should definitely go duck hunt with Travis or goose hunt or shoot fish. He's really good at that.
Well,
but he also, it's like your personal stand-up comedy. It's like 8 hours of, instead of having to drive to DC to go to like the Improv or go to one of these local breweries and sit there with like 50 other people, Travis is just like right there in your face saying the most ridiculous stuff.
It's definitely intimate.
So whatever you pay to be with Travis, like you're gonna be entertained. You'll have opportunity at whatever you're there for, but Travis is gonna make you laugh your ass off.
No question about it.
So we've had some good times.
Thank you very much.
We've got Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah.
You better shoot before you find your grit, boy.
Oh yeah. Better check it.
Hey Travis, you ever shot 500 geese in a season, Travis?
Let me ask you a question. How fast can you get to the road to 500? Oh yeah, there's a lot of it. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh Lord.
All right, what else do we have on the list of questions?
So,
to keep ourselves on some type of.
We're not on any type of. So, the other question I got Well, I had a total of 4,
Okay.
2 of which I can talk about.
Okay.
The other 2 we won't talk about.
Okay.
But the next one was obviously you're a hell of a turkey hunter.
Okay.
Right.
If
You
you
had
say
one
so.
call.
Yeah.
What you going with?
Mouth call.
Really?
100%.
Why?
There's nothing that can duplicate the tonal aspects
Well, I disagree.
of the throat.
I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree. Have you met Mr. Salter?
I mean, Eddie Salter runs a mouth call like I feel like probably 75 or 80% of the
He
time
does.
based on the stuff that I've seen, which was a lot of Eddie Salter as a kid growing up.
All right.
But I personally, I mean, I enjoy turkey calls in general. I enjoy the culture and the history. Mike just ate a cookie, and I'm not sure what just happened, but it was a really good experience. Very euphoric experience
I
for
have
Mike.
no idea.
That
There's none
what
left.
is that?
Okay. So
Is that like a okie dokie or?
no. These are carrot cakes.
Okay.
And the inside,
Mike looked like he just got laid for the first time.
you have no idea. These things are delicious, but so we found these, and I found a guy in Kansas. He's like, man, you're all, I was like down in the dumps because they didn't have like the Star Crunch.
Okay.
And so he bought me these, and I was like, these are the greatest things on the planet next to a Star Crunch.
Got it.
And so I just ate the last one. I reached over. There was 2 in
Well, if the look on your God, I can't imagine being with this guy when he shot his first pintail, or what it's like when he shoots his like
Passing out
his
Star Crunch
100th
to everybody.
turkey. Because if you've had hundreds of those things and
Right.
that was your reaction,
there every time.
you're a worthwhile guy, Mike.
Hey, I try to be.
I gotta pee real fast. I'll be right back.
All right, cool.
All right, we're back.
Yeah, your old man bladder is causing problems.
We won't elaborate.
It's all
on
this
that.
good bourbon Mikey's been feeding us.
Hey,
It's true.
we broke out some more too. We got Bardstown, and we've got
These boys will keep you hydrated.
and really good Bardstown.
High quality H2O.
Water sucks.
It's clean. It's cold.
Mama said.
It's corn.
It's cold.
All right.
No mercy.
What else we got? Where are we going?
So we talked a little bit on break, and we kind of talked briefly. So I'm going to ask the question I wasn't going to ask you.
Yeah.
The idea is not to piss off anybody. It's to get your opinion on it.
Yep.
As somebody who is an outdoorsman, and somebody who spends a considerable amount of time paying attention to conservation, which we should all do. But in your opinion, where do you see, how do we put it?
Social media
Yeah.
taking hunting.
Yeah. I
The
don't want to
effect-
name anybody, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
So I the question was a very specific group of people, but
right.
how, with social media platforms and all of those, major hunting, entities that are involved with social media.
Yep.
And you kind of hit a little bit on it with same pictures and same stuff, but I'm going to ask you directly, what's your opinion on this, and where do you see it going?
Yeah, so I think that I was given a little bit of context to this question before it was just pitched on the back end of this bathroom break, but I think the best way for me to frame my answer about that question is to just kind of look at things objectively. So we have folks who are filming on public land to make their living. They run all over the country, and they film experiences. You've got deer hunters doing it, elk hunters doing it. I don't know about moose. It's not really my thing, but
Honestly, I don't think I've seen that.
in terms of the continental United States,
There's a market for it.
Yeah,
Don't go there.
we just inspired somebody.
Oh, Jesus.
Another YouTube channel coming soon.
Don't you know, eh?
The hunting quest, public moose hunts.
Don't you know, eh?
So I guess when we were talking about whitetail deer and elk, mule deer and turkeys especially, here's my opinion on social media and YouTube and people that are filming hunts on public land. So I think that what we are starting to see when it comes to turkeys is the demand for turkeys exceeds the supply. And poult production, by and large, across the United States is exponentially lower than it has been in the last 2 decades. You know, there are some places in the United States where there were robust flocks 40 years ago. But by and large, you've seen considerable decline around the United States in the last 10 years. And there's some folks out there that'll say that that's localized, but I hunt public and I knock on doors on private, and I can tell you that the majority of places where I talk to people, they'll say, son, you should have been here 5 years ago. Should have been here 10 years ago. Should have been here 15 years ago. So my response to anyone that says that that's not the case is that you're probably a person making money off of YouTube and need that as your source of income and have that as a bias, because there's just not. I mean, I was in Alabama with my kid last weekend shooting turkeys, and man, you should have seen it 10 or 15 years ago. You can pick a state, throw a dart, and if it's in the southeast part of the United States, the central part of the United States, it's going to come to some other parts of the United States sooner than later. But if you film a hunt and you expose 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or 100,000 people to that hunt, you have captured audio, you have captured visual. You give people the ability to watch your content and screen that content in terms of where the most premier places are. And if you're a consumer of that content, the logical conclusion is not, man, I want to go to where it took that guy 6 days to hear a turkey and shoot one. The logical conclusion for the consumer is to say, man, them guys just went to that state and shot 9 turkeys in 2.5 days, and I heard some crazy gobbling, and I want to go there.
Yep.
So if 40,000 people, let's just say that the average YouTube video when it comes to turkeys in terms of the primary content producers on YouTube, and I think 40,000 is a very realistic number. It's an honest number. There's some of those videos that have 100,000.
I think it's a low ball.
Okay, so
But
I'm trying to be reasonable here, but there are some that have over 100,000. There are some that, let's just take an average and say that 40,000 people view the content that's being generated by the primary turkey hunting producers out there. Let's say 5% of 40 or 50,000 people adjudicate that information and they say, I'm going there, and they do. People are more mobile than ever. They're more willing to go than ever because they're more well-armed with information. Back in the day, they didn't go because they didn't have Onyx and they didn't know how to read maps.
Well, and they also didn't have work remote jobs.
Right, and they didn't have the information about those animals that we've obtained through telemetry studies and that we've obtained through science.
Yep.
And so they adjudicate what they see and they say, you know what, that place looked insane. And then 5 or 10% of the 40 or 50,000 decide to go. And then half of that are successful. So now what we have is a significant statistical change in terms of the harvest, in terms of the disruption in those areas. And areas that had a lot of carryover on turkeys because there weren't excessive numbers of turkeys being harvested are seeing considerable increases. You know, we're setting records in a lot of states now for turkey harvests, and populations are not increasing in a lot of those states. Like they're stable and declining.
Yeah.
I can list a litany of them that have been declining rapidly where records are still being set with harvests. And so now what you're starting to see is draws are being implemented in these states. And there's somebody listening.
In my eyes, great conservation effort.
Yeah.
Great conservation.
Well, that was going to be my question. So if the states are transitioning to where, you know, a preference system or a draw to get that tag as an out-of-state resident, you're still going to have those people applying for that tag. Right. So that added exposure to it, that added revenue, what is that doing for the conservation?
Well, here's the thing. You have to take into account one aspect that many people don't look at: resident versus non-resident.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the cull, as I guess as I would put it, with a lot of these states that that don't have preference points. They look at it and say, well, we're going to do an over-counter tag, but when the tags are gone, they're gone.
Right.
So, but I think the culling that actually happens when you have non-resident versus residents, and then you're looking at the preference point systems, right, for out-of-state residents to try and pull the tag, and now some states are going to preference points for residence tags, right, which in my opinion is absolutely wrong. I get why they do it. I understand that part, but in my opinion, I think if you live in that state, it is your right to be able to hunt and pull whatever tag it is, for, I guess preferential treatment because you are a resident of that state.
Yeah, I 100% agree that the residents should take priority over non-residents. But to kind of get back to the crux of your question, no, not at all. I just wanted to give some context to my response because of the way that I feel. And there's people that are going to listen to this that are going to disagree with me. That's fine. But
we like disagreement.
If you've been there, if you've been there and done it, then that's fine. But if you haven't, then
those in glass houses, right?
Yeah. And if you have to go to those places and hear those people say like, man, you should have seen it 10 years ago. Man, you should have seen it 5. And I have places that I was going to 15 years ago that are nothing like they are now, and never
same way.
And never will be. And you've been traveling, longer than I have, Mike. So unless you've been doing this thing for a long time and you've kind of seen the precipitous declines in some of these places that were strongholds, then I don't really think you have much of a leg to stand on. And if you have been doing it, that's fine as well. That's an interesting conversation. But my point to social media and turkey hunting specifically is, I personally think that the tag allocation to non-residents in most states is too high. I don't feel entitled to shoot more than one turkey anywhere that I go.
Agreed.
And I don't think that anybody else, knowing the situations around the country, should be going to other states for the most part and shooting more than one turkey.
100%
But I
agree.
think that the amount of attention and the pressure that public land is getting around the United States now, the supply and the demand issue that we face with the declining poult production and the increased harvest numbers, the lack of carryover makes these states exponentially more vulnerable to good hatches every year. So if you're killing that many gobblers, you are depending on a good hatch to continue to replace those gobblers every single year. And what we're seeing is we're seeing difficult weather. We're seeing an increased predation, nest predation, and predation on poults. You've got a lot of things that are eating turkey eggs.
Absolutely.
You've got a lot of aerial predators now that didn't exist 10 or 15. You never used to see eagles 20 years ago.
Right.
See them all the time now. Hawks 20 years ago, you didn't see them very often.
Coyote population.
See them all the time now. Coyotes. And so you have all of this is a very multifaceted issue, multidimensional issue. But we are, in a lot of places, they're more forced to depend on a good hatch every year.
Yeah.
When they don't get that good hatch, man, things are really, really rough
God
for next
help
year.
you for a drought.
And it really illustrates how fragile the resource is. And so my problem, and it is a problem, I think, in my opinion at least, with the social media thing is that it brings a lot of additional hunting pressure to a resource that was pretty stable, but now is declining.
Very fragile.
And it's just changing the paradigm in terms of public hunting as we know it. And it's certainly creating losses of opportunity for residents in those states. And the amount of pressure, the amount of people that are traveling now to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I take pictures of where I go. Don't get me wrong, but I don't say where I'm at. For a reason, I don't say where I'm at.
You know that.
I want to protect those places. I don't say how many I heard, how many I saw, how phenomenal it was. I just try to do. I mean, I love the outdoors, and I'm proud of my accomplishments. I'm proud of the people that are close to me. I'm very, very proud of their accomplishments as well as they achieve them. But I just don't feel the need to put additional pressure on these resources. I don't really understand why these guys name where they're at, especially when they're in these strongholds, because the masses descend on the strongholds, and then the strongholds never the same again. Yeah. We can talk Kansas. You're in Kansas. We can. We can beat this thing till till the horse is dead. But my opinion is that as YouTube and social media has really focused heavily on public land, that public land hunting around the United States faces a lot of challenges going forward. And as popular as these folks are and the fanboys are, These people are these people are about to reap the consequences of the sows that they seed, because they're about to experience loss of opportunity as well. So
100%. Well said.
Be careful what you wish for.
Well said. I was a little apprehensive to ask you the question. I think that was probably the well, hands down, most well spoken answer without any.
I'm not trying to flame anybody.
No, and I don't think you are. So I think you did it was a phenomenal job. But Travis, this goes into the same aspect of the hip survey. You look at who answers your hip surveys, right, for duck hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know that that's truly a good count? Same way,
right?
Travis, this is dependent on
livelihood.
Yes, his livelihood. Yeah. So for him to be able to to make money, bring people into the blinds, man, that hip survey would be one of those things that I would be mentioning in the blind every single day. Hey, you all bought your tags. When you get your hip survey, you need to answer it, and you need to answer it, ethically.
Yep.
And if you broke the law, dude, go answer the questions, because it's beyond that. It's this is population harvest, right? And I him and I have had this conversation extensively about who really answers hip surveys, who really does that, right? And not only that, but I hunt multiple states. So if I get the same hip survey and I answer it, hey, I answered, I hunted Missouri, I hunted in Kansas, I hunted in Virginia, I hunted in Maryland, and I say, hey, in Maryland I killed 12 ducks, and I did this, or I give my whole list over and over again for every state. How does that get counted?
Right. Interesting. Never really thought about that.
Yeah.
What's your opinion, Trav?
I think having the proper mentor, you look at the new generation, and maybe some of them have their grandfather teach them, or their father, or their uncle, whoever, or a good buddy. And then some just kind of use this platform of YouTube and social media, the Mondo piles.
Right, yeah.
And like we run into this with clients with the Virginia Outfitter. They're like, I want big piles. You're in the wrong state.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong state.
You're in the wrong state. You're hunting with the wrong people.
Yeah. Now, and so what kind of Kyle was mentioning, it reminded me a lot of like when me and my dad would try to
Old sport,
with our turkey hunting property out in southern Maryland. We actually don't have anymore.
Right.
We would manage that to a point where there were no shooting at jakes, no shooting at 2-year-old satellite toms. If there's a 5, 6, 7-year-old bird in a part of the property, getting him out of there. So now the 3-year-olds and the 2-year-olds will come in instead of just, sitting around, right? And that has a lot to do with how many of these people that are going to these meccas or these hubs, and are they going to just think ethically about it, or are they just going to try to kill,
right?
Yeah.
And that's where you want to – hunting is about the hunt and the harvest, not kill, right? And so now it feels good to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, 100%.
So.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, for sure.
I mean, I guess I don't really understand the need to keep some of these guys have to keep stacking bodies in places where you can stack them, and how you can justify that.
Yep.
As someone who knows a lot about turkeys, and but yeah, there's some differences of opinion. I certainly have mine, and I try to be consistent with my beliefs. I've shot a couple turkeys. I've shot multiple turkeys in a couple states. 2, maybe 3, but I shoot even in states where I've had multiple tags in my pocket, and you can kill multiples in a day. I've shot one and had 2 or 3 standing next to it, and just let those turkeys go on and do their own thing. And I think honestly we're all probably better off if more people think like that. Think about the next hunter coming in. Think about the hatch. Think about hey, that gobbler's going to be here for next year. Statistically, turkey has a mature longbeard. Hunting is the highest form of predation on mature gobblers. They're not vulnerable like hens are, sitting on the ground for 26 days on the nest.
There you go.
So it's just statistically, a turkey, a mature gobbler, has a very high likelihood of seeing the next year if he's not killed by a hunter.
Yep.
So I think that if we're kind of forward thinking, and if we're really going to preach conservation and restraint, that we should just all kind of maybe think about that a little differently, instead of being able to brag oh yeah, shot 7 this season or 10 this season or whatever these guys are killing. It becomes a content thing, and I guess that's kind of where, if you're dependent on content and kills to make money, and
not a good way to go.
You could use how you hunt turkeys, Mikey. I've heard you say it time and time again. You would rather go out with somebody and call their bird in, than go out yourself.
I could care less if I pull the trigger.
I get that, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I hunt turkeys to kill turkeys. Like I'm getting up in the morning when I get up to kill them.
Yep,
that's the game. That's the way it is. But it just you have to kill turkeys. You have to hunt turkeys to become proficient at it, to be good at it, to see them on a regular basis. But as we mature, we should really come into that mindset where you've gotten a lot of success under your belt, and you just kind of start thinking about
the next
what
generation.
the future looks like. And there's a lot of challenges for turkeys going forward. Fortunately, for us in this part of this is the other hard thing to say is there's a lot of people who haven't traveled. There's a lot of people who haven't ever really hunted multiple parts of this state or the state that they live in.
Sure.
And so, like, to tell someone right now, where we're doing this podcast right now, that we should be talking about restraint when they're seeing a lot of turkeys on a regular basis, and there's no public land up, in this particular area in Northern Virginia that we're at, so I don't have to worry about, YouTube descending here. But to tell someone here that turkeys are in trouble, they'll look at you and be like, "Are you high?"
Yeah.
But when you start talking about, harvest stats in different parts of the state and the majority of the state, it's like you try to have these conversations with people and they just haven't traveled very much. They've hunted in their own immediate locale, and the big picture isn't there. Yeah. It's a micro level conversation. Yeah. It's not macro for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the cool things about traveling is you start to see different management strategies. Different states have certain, this state literally may have a 1 bird bag limit for residents and non-residents. This state may have be very liberal for their residents and very conservative for non-residents. The tag may be a draw. It may be an ultra expensive tag to get as a non-resident, and so they have a good opportunity there. They preserve opportunity for residents, and the opportunity when you go there as a non-resident is good. But then you have states that are really liberal and reckless, and they're letting guys shoot 3 turkeys. Non-residents shoot 3 turkeys or 4 turkeys, and the contrast in the quality of the hunting is night and day.
Huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
And people want to fight you over this conversation when you say stuff like this, and it's like, I'll tell you what, man, like, just go ahead, go hit the road, and go hunt states that have different limits and different policies and limitations in terms of the number of people that can go there, and then tell me where the better hunting was.
Right.
So if you want to make a compelling case for liberal bag limits, liberal season lengths, and liberal numbers of hunters, good luck.
Yeah. Well, and you and I talked about this. I grew up as a subsistence hunter.
Yeah, y'all boys are hungry down there, bud.
We are freaking hungry, and and people don't realize that still exists.
Yeah,
there are still people who hunt because whether it's their circumstance, situation, whatever, or that's how they choose to live.
Yep.
Right. So you're taking that away from these individuals as well. That's not a lifestyle. That's not a choice. This is subsistence. Right? This is how this person lives.
The road,
day to day.
The road has shown me poverty.
God,
yes, that was inconceivable.
Oh yeah.
We're all really fortunate. Where we live and what we have. But the degree of poverty, and they don't put this kind of poverty like on the news.
No.
That I've stuff that
I've seen
sell well in the hills and the hollers of like rural Appalachia, where you're scared to be there.
Yep.
But it's very, very poor.
Oh yeah.
And everything about you says you don't belong.
Right. And and there's nothing you can do you will ever fit in. I mean, they made a movie called The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia.
Deliverance.
No. Same state though. Same state.
Yeah.
Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia.
Yeah.
That show. I mean,
I have a friend from McDowell County.
dude.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that too loud.
He's a great friend of mine. Chris Walls, a phenomenal turkey caller too.
Yeah,
incredibly talented guy. Yeah, he's from down there. But yeah, you'll never. I've never seen poverty like some of the Indian reservations as well. Just sobering, and I don't use, no pun intended.
Yeah, really.
Just some sobering poverty out there, and not to kind of redirect the conversation, but the road really has highlighted a lot of that, and certainly made me very empathetic and very aware of the differences in lifestyles and cultures.
For sure.
And most people, if you live in Northern Virginia, you have to be relatively affluent to live here.
Yeah. You can't be. I mean, they've made it that way.
Yeah,
right? Low cost, low affordable housing doesn't exist here.
You get in that bubble, and then you go to other places, and you're just kind of reminded, how you kind of think to yourself every once in a while. I'll be on the road, and I'll think to myself, what my life have been like if I was born in this place.
Yep.
And it's a really sobering thing.
That's how you've been on the road for like 12 and a half hours.
Yeah,
and you probably need a pee break.
12
you're sitting
and
there,
a half
like,
hours. Gee, yeah, 12, like 20 or 7 days without a shower.
I get there like I don't know. I drive everywhere.
Yep.
I don't like flying. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but for hunting and fishing and all that stuff.
Yeah, you want your stuff.
I want my stuff.
Yeah,
right.
I get it, Mikey.
And the other side of that is when I'm driving, it's like it's just me.
Yep.
Right. And it's you got to start thinking about that stuff. And for me, it's like the 12-hour mark,
Yep.
and you start getting those, those epiphanies. You're like, hey, I'm sitting here thinking, Bojangles chicken.
Always bow tie.
I get a Bo-Bear biscuit. I want 10. I give it a 10.
Frosting on that thing.
I want 10 Bo-Bear biscuits.
Right. And you sit there, you look at, but I mean that's where it comes from, and it's another product of the cloth that we're cut from.
Yep.
It's just I'm good with being alone with myself.
Yeah, me too.
And that helps me kind of get through whatever I'm dealing with, right? From that perspective, it provides perspective to me.
Absolutely.
Right? And you're driving by in West Virginia and you get lost and you're like, I should not be here.
Yeah.
And no offense to West Virginia, but there's places there I should not be.
I had a guy that I was down in Appalachia last year, and he came up to me and he said, "Son," he said, "I'm just going to be really honest with you." He said, "You got a lot of really nice things right here."
Yep.
And I was camping. I had a blaze orange tent. And I'd pulled off. There's one way in and one way out of this hauler, and he said, "You got a lot of nice stuff." And he said last year, some of those guys that are on meth pushed my car down the driveway into the highway there and tried to drag it away. They broke into my garage. He said, "You could come back tomorrow morning. There may not be a catalytic converter on your truck."
And, yes, no joke. I mean, I laugh, but
he
joke.
He said, if those guys are, he didn't use the word tweaking. I can't remember what he said, but he said, if those guys are high and you're asleep, he said, ain't nothing for them to pick up your tent. And I said to him, I was like, "Mister, I really appreciate you coming up here and telling me this." And I was like, I can't afford to replace all these things all at once. So I was like, I appreciate it, and I'm going to take your word of advice and get out of here.
And you think differently, right?
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do.
So, anyway, I like the profound aspect of this, and we're getting kind of close on time, aren't we, Benny? So I'm going to leave it with one more question, and I want to ask you this much. I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
So what I wanted to do is talk to you about, be able to talk to you a little bit about calling, a little bit about that. But honestly, this conversation's been rolling so well, I don't think that we're going to get to it.
Yeah, probably not. We can do it again.
But, dude, I want you to come back.
If you bring the bourbon, if you bring the bourbon, I'll bring the bullshit.
I got you. I got you, my brother. I got you. And so, obviously, I'd love to have you back. I know you got a crazy schedule, but, geez, man, it'd be cool to have you on here more often. So, so there's that. But my last question we got asked, and I'm going to make sure we cover it, is, all right, and one call for turkeys.
Yep.
What's it going to be? And who's the maker?
So I have a buddy from Alabama. that is one of the best callers in the country, and he presses my mouth calls for me.
You gonna tell me who he is?
Yeah, his name is Jared Lowe.
Okay, all right.
So Jared presses mouth calls, but he just had a baby, and those mouth calls haven't made their way to my address yet, Jared.
It's turkey
if
season.
you're listening, and Scott Hook, who just passed away in the last 2 weeks, was a very good friend of mine, and I'll miss him forever. And I am exceptionally grateful to Scott because he spent a lot of time teaching me how to run a mouth call with some degree of proficiency. I'll never forget when he said to me, he said, "Boy, you ain't got no." He said something like, "Kyle, you don't have any front end on that call."
There you go.
And I guess that was like eight or 9 years ago, probably. And so he spent a lot of time with me teaching how to hiss like a cat and get that front end on that yelp. So it didn't sound like a Jake yelp. And so I ran a Hooks 2-read. It's called the Game Changer 2. But I was down in Nashville, like you were, Mikey, and my Houndstooth game calls makes a phenomenal call.
They do?
They make the Dixie Hen is a phenomenal box call that my little boy runs.
What state are they from?
Alabama.
And why are they Houndstooth? Benny, tell me. Come on. Roll Tide, brother.
Yeah, so Houndstooth makes a great call. My little boy runs a box call called their Dixie Hen, and Carrie Wicks is one of the best still frame photographers for wild turkeys in the game, the best
for sure,
hands down. Actually, not one of. And he has a call with Houndstooth. It's called it's the KB. The KB Hen, I think, is what it is. So anyhow, I grabbed one in Nashville while I was down there messing around. I was down talking to some of the guys at the booth there. So I popped this thing in, and it's a 3-read batwing, and it just screams. And I ran it last weekend, and it screams. So if you give me a Jared call or a KB Hen or a Scott Hook Game Changer 2, I really like a 2-read because my style is get pretty close to them. I really like to be very close to turkeys, and so I like a turkey call that can run on very light air and be very quiet. I want my tree yelps to be super quiet. I want my bubble clucks to be clear but super muted as well. And it's just not very often that I'm calling to a turkey at 300 yards. I'm like, let's cut that distance somehow, or cut that by like 80%.
Hey, here's your fan.
Mikey had to go there. Let me go shoot that. No, I'm not. Stop. I'm gonna stop. So anyhow, yeah, I like a call that runs on real light air. I like to roost turkeys and get real close to them, and so I don't want that. 3 and 4 reads for the most part. That KB Hen just runs phenomenally, but I like those lighter reads, less reads, so that I can just be real quiet and get that sound quality out of it, and I don't have to run. I think it's harder to regulate higher volumes of air.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And so
when you're out of breath after chasing that damn thing, you're like,
or you're excited, you're breathing hard. You're looking at him on the tree at 60 yards. You've been watching him sit there and spit and drum and in the more, on the limb and stuff. And so I like to be able to run on very minimal air. I'd normally start my stuff on the exhale where my lungs aren't full because I find it even harder to control when you got full lungs. So I'll let my breath out and but yeah, so that's Jared, put the calls in the mail. There you go. But yeah, I'm an air guy. I like pot calls, and I carry a box call because every once in a while, box call make a turkey gobble that a pot call wouldn't, and a mouth call wouldn't, and every once in a while, a pot call will too. But unfortunately, there's a lot of calls out there if we can spend our money on.
Yeah, well, you need to talk to Mr. Salter. I can't call him by his first name, but you need to talk to Mr. Salter.
Yeah, Mikey here knows Mr. Eddie Salter on a very, very, very personal level.
Same hometown. Man taught me how to hunt. Taught me how to gave me the passion to go after turkeys. So,
awesome.
He's an amazing human being, and he has changed the world. And I will never forget that man. He is absolutely human to the core. If you ever meet him, go shake his hand, tell him you appreciate him for what he's done for the turkey industry.
But there's a turkey in there too.
Hell yeah. All right, so we covered that. I think we're over time, right? All right, and we're going to get you back.
We'll do it.
All right.
Absolutely.
And we can
Enjoyed
do
it.
that while you're on the road.
Yeah.
All right, we can. I mean, we won't have the bourbon for you, but you're welcome here anytime.
I'll be on the road a lot.
Yeah.
So we got plenty of time.
We
You
got
boys,
sticks for the boys.
y'all boys just let me know
Right?
when and
We
where.
got
and,
sticks for the boys.
there'll be plenty of all-night Friday night drives coming up. So if you degenerates are all hanging out drinking bourbon, we can.
We are
y'all-
definitely
y'all can keep me
degenerates.
up, so.
So yeah, I know.
Fair
I'm
enough.
that way. So
So no, I've enjoyed it, guys. I've enjoyed it a lot, and thank you to anybody that has suffered their way through the hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever this
Yeah,
is.
something
Hopefully
like that.
there's-
We'll find out.
But it's been fun.
But dude, again, appreciate you spending the time with us. It has been truly an honor and a treat. I'm glad you're going to come back. But brother man,
Dude, let me tell you, this is every bit of what I was hoping for and expected out of you and Kyle.
you made this happen.
The banter back and forth. And, even getting him on the podcast when he's out there sitting down by a tree in the bottomland camo.
Oh yeah.
Plug.
Nice little plug there, Travis.
Check in with Kyle
Yeah.
out, in the hunt, during the hunt. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Awesome.
With his, how many Mr. Fox vests you got?
I got a couple.
Okay,
I got a couple. I got I have one for me, numbered for me, and I have one numbered for both of my sons. I have two sons.
Which is hellaciously awesome.
It is,
I'm completely messing with you, but
it was important. It was important to me to be able to give those to my
As legacy.
give those to my boys. I actually, it's crazy. I had my 6-year-old Foster tried his vest on. He has vest 303 out of
That's awesome.
1944.
See,
So
that's a good number.
I had him try his on this afternoon, and it's way too big for him at this point. But I'm pretty pumped that one day,
He will fit
hopefully, my brother has a numbered, I've got a numbered, and both of my boys will have a numbered. And I think I may try and finish my 49 in a Fox.
I said that was going to be my question for you.
Yeah,
epic.
With the numbered vests,
yeah.
are you going to wear them to hunt, or are you going to wear an unnumbered to hunt?
So I also ordered an unnumbered, and what I will do with mine is I'll hunt it on good weather days, like really pretty
you
days.
hear this, Brent?
Thank
you hear
you.
this, Bennett?
And,
Thank you.
And then I'll hunt my unnumbered. I also have a Bob Dixon vest as well.
I hate you. Hate you.
I was just really fortunate that I have a friend that was kind of divesting from turkey hunting. He's a big duck hunter. He's going to finish his 49, and we were talking, and he was like, my vest, the Dixon, has been living in the closet for the last 2 or 3 years.
Well,
Do
hey,
you
look,
want it?
look, dude is awesome. That dude is a true friend.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Rube. If you're listening to this, because it was he took considerably less, half of what he could have gotten for that thing for me.
Right.
To make sure that it went to me, and that he knew that I would
That's a
pass
good
it to
home.
my son. And so here's the cool thing, and I know we got to get off this, but I took the Dixon to Alabama, and I did not hunt the Dixon on Saturday. I hunted the Dixon on Sunday with my son, and he shot his first out-of-state turkey.
Good on you.
That's
Sunday
awesome.
afternoon.
Good on you.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
With me and a Dixon. So I'm going to hunt the Dixon as well on good weather days. And I've got a lot of vests and stuff. The problem with a lot of vests is, the vest is a well-oiled machine, just like any of your waterfowl rigs are, your deer rigs are, and whatnot. But I'll just probably pop a mouth call in, and hunt locally on pretty weather days with those things, since they are so, kind of heirloom quality stuff.
Yeah, no
But,
doubt. No doubt.
Anyhow, so yeah, I'm gonna hunt the hell out of the unnumbered vest for
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. Mikey was mad at me because I told him I was not wearing my numbered vest through mud
said he wasn't
puddles
gonna
and
he wasn't gonna use
thickets,
it.
and
I'm
I've got other vests from other companies that I care less about, that I'll run through briars and shred them and tear them apart, and that one's gonna stay. like you said, it's heirloom quality. I mean, they're opening it up. I was amazed. I mean, just the quality of it, everything about it, the presentation of the box, all of it. They're beautiful.
You've summarized it perfectly, Bennett. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't want to hunt it hard, hunt the numbered hard. I want it to last. I mean, it'd be they're built like tanks. I mean, there's leather all over them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
whatnot, and so I hope that my son's sons, have an opportunity to wear them. But just a cool thing to pass on in terms of commemorating Mr. Fox and just kind of the values and the legacy that he
and
has.
Mr. Dixon.
And absolutely. That vest is. I never thought I would own one, so I'm really appreciative to him for him being like, "Hey, man, if you want it, this is what I'll take for it." And
That's
I was
epic.
Yeah, he was like, "Is it for you?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes, it's."
It ain't going nowhere else. I mean, come on.
But that was. I had just said to my buddy Sunday morning, we didn't hear any turkeys gobble on some of the spots we went to, and I was like, "Man, I really would have loved to kill one in the Dixon with him and gone 1 for 1." And then 3 o'clock in the afternoon, strike a hen, get a long beard fired up. My little boy shoots him at 10 steps.
Yeah.
So it was.
That's awesome.
It was
Epic.
It could not have been more picture perfect way to christen that vest and that hunt.
That's awesome.
So anyhow, but
So next time, I'll give you a heads up. Some of the questions I want.
yeah,
All right. So first one I want out of you is, obviously we'll talk about whatever, your the sea stories. I'm a Navy guy, so you see stories from this season. But I'd like to get your opinion on how shotguns have evolved and the distance that people are taking shots on things
absolutely.
like that. Along with how we're let's look at a little bit more of the conservation effort and maybe we talked a lot about public land hunt, how we're gonna how things are kind of dwindling, but how do we get that better?
Yeah.
Give it some thought. I have my ideas, but
Yep.
Let's look at it and draw hunts might be are certainly prevalent, but is that the answer? Things like that. So,
Yeah.
There's a multitude of different questions. And try to talk to your Prostaff folks and say, hey, look, if you had one call, what would you use? Get different opinions there.
I will.
See where we can go with that.
My crew would be like mouth call. Like you take them all, take the rest of them all, and throw them all away.
All right, so
Benny, you imagine being a turkey in the woods if these two are together chasing you?
He'd break out the fan.
I joked with my buddy about that last weekend. I was like, hey, John, I was like, I'm looking at these fans that I've got set out here. I was like, you think a white one would work in Alabama? What about this orange real one over here? You think that one would work?
Oh, yeah. One of these days, Cal might reap a bird. Who knows?
So,
snowball's chance in hell.
But the other thing that I really want is be able to get you on here and be able to say, hey, look, for those who are starting off, that's what this podcast is focused towards is for people starting off, what do you need to know?
Okay,
and how do we get there?
We'll do that. And just for anybody that's listening to this that is looking to get into turkey hunting at a basic level, last year I did two 2-hour seminars for Virginia DWR. If you go to YouTube and Google Kyle Ott Intro to Turkey Hunting.
I watched them both.
There is awesome. You're like one of 10.
I liked it too.
One of 10 people to watch those videos. Appreciate that, Mike. If the other 9 are out here, thank you.
1, 2.
Yeah, so here's 3, 4, 5 upstairs.
Yeah, so if that is out there, and there's from a technical perspective, I think those were pretty solid introduction seminars, basic tactics, calling, setup assessment, and whatnot. So love to talk about it with you guys and get together, whether it's in person or on the road. But for anybody right now that's listening to this going, why didn't this guy talk about that stuff? I'm sorry, but like I said, go to Google, go to YouTube and Google Kyle Ott Intro to Turkey Hunting, and obviously there's a lot of good content on YouTube.
Phenomenal content
as well. But
you do a good job of breaking it down.
I appreciate that, but I think that those seminars will be really helpful for anybody that's just getting started, maybe even somebody that's a little more experienced, but definitely somebody that's just getting started if you want to start thinking about or start to learn how to think strategically about hunting turkeys.
Yeah, I think that's great.
In Virginia. So,
all right, my friend, I'm going to leave it to the brother man here. He's the one that did the intro to Kyle and myself, and I can't think of a better person to take us home. What you got for us, my brother?
We're out here, and you can be too. Turkey woods near you, coming soon, spring 2023. Here we go.
Yes, sir. Take us home there, Mr. Bennett.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to The Hunting Quest. No matter how crazy, high-tech, or lazy the rest of the country gets, we will always be hunting and fishing. If that's you, you've found your new family. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. Reach out to us by email at info@thehuntingquest.com. And check us out on Instagram and YouTube at The Hunting Quest. See you next time.